Hi, welcome to my channel if you're new, welcome back if you're a subscriber. Today is one of the last videos that I will be filming in my apartment that I have. We are about to move and I'm feeling nostalgic about this place. I'm really excited for where we're moving. We're gonna have more space and I'm finally going to get, you know, floor to ceiling bookshelves and all of that fun stuff. But I like how this area is set up behind me. Like, it's very cozy. I like it a lot. I'm gonna have to film like a little vlog clip to show you a pan down what it looks like. And then we have wall shelves that you can see kind of actually in that reflection over there that I really like how they turned out. So it's nostalgic, but I'm ready to move. And so this is one of the last videos here. So I wanted to film the mid-year freakout tag. I'm very excited to talk about the books I've read so far this year, my favorites. I feel like some of these will not be a surprise to you all. Maybe it'll be a surprise. I don't know. There was a very recent favorite and then there's a favorite from a few months ago, and talk about a ton of other bookish things. So the first question is starting out with a bang, and it is your favorite book you've read so far in 2023. And I could not narrow it down. Like, I had to pick two options because I love these ones so much. One is more of a horror and one is a thriller. The first one I want to talk about is House of Hunger by Alexis Henderson, and look at this cover. It is stunning. I am obsessed with it, and I'm obsessed with this book. So let me tell you what it's about. It's about this poor woman who is living in the slums, and she is having a really difficult time. She doesn't have a good relationship with her family, her brother to be specific, and she is just not having a good life. But she is approached and offered a position to work in this castle to be a blood maid. And so she goes and she travels to this luxurious castle and works for this countess. And this is sort of a vampire sapphic story, and it is so good. I loved it so much. This is so atmospheric. As I was reading, I immediately felt like I was in this book. I was living in it. I loved it so much. I listened to it on audiobook. I felt like I could really imagine everything while I was listening. I loved the characters. I really loved the ending. I thought it was suspenseful. I just love this one so much. I love the gothic horror vibes in this, and it was just so good. I highly recommend it. I know a lot of people say this is very slow burn, and I agree. It is slow burn, but I liked it because I like the atmosphere so much. I loved living in this world, living in the castle, and I enjoyed it a lot, and I really liked the ending. I thought it was chilling, and I loved it. The next book I just read, I just finished, and it is Little Secrets by Jennifer Hillier. And this one, is so good. I'm obsessed with this book so much. And honestly, this is going to bleed into one of the other questions on here because I was surprised that I like this book so much because it is a pretty domestic thriller. And domestic thrillers are complicated for me because some of my favorite books are domestic thrillers, but I feel like so often domestic thrillers are just not that interesting. I'm not invested in the characters. The husband's cheating, the marriage is falling apart, and it just doesn't work for me. But in this book, it worked. Let me tell you, it worked. It was so good. I read this one so fast. I read it while I was packing, and I could not wait to figure out what happened in the end. This one is about a wealthy woman, and she is out in the market one day with her son. And her son is a toddler, and he is actually abducted and taken from her. And then we jump into the future, and her case has kind of gone cold. The police just decide to kind of stop looking, and so she hires this private detective. And from the private detective, she finds out her husband is cheating. Now, I'll stop there. I know I just said I don't like plots where the husband is cheating, but there's so much more to this book than just the husband is cheating. So she decides to try to take care of this problem. And you can probably guess what I mean by take care of this problem if it's a thriller. It's so good. I don't want to say much more. It's just so fast-paced, addictive, and I loved it. The next question is, what's the best sequel you've read in 2023? So for this one, I read an extreme horror series actually called the Deadly Reality TV series, and these books are by Sea Caummisar. And I really liked it a lot. I thought it was so much fun. It gives off Saw vibes, and it actually made me want to watch Saw. I actually never really had that much of an interest in Saw because I'm not super into just gore in movies, but Saw was amazing. I watched all of the movies. I actually binged them after reading this, and it has an overarching plot where all the movies tie together. And so anyway, that's kind of a tangent, but I really like this series a lot. It is extreme horror, so make sure you look up trigger warnings for that for sure. But the first book is called Easy Money, and then the second book is called Pain for Gain. So basically this book is about a game show where contestants with a live audience, so it's like the X Factor, American Idol, America's Got Talent, those kind of shows, there is an audience there, and on the stage there are progressive stages where the contestants will compete, and the way they compete is inflicting pain on themselves. So they're doing this for money, and the challenges start out really, really low, and then they get progressively more, and it narrows it down to the winner. So I thought this was such an interesting premise, and I feel like more people need to read this if they're into the kind of like game show horror, and I would highly recommend it. So the next question is new releases that you haven't read but you want to, and immediately my book club comes to mind because we have a few books that are coming up that I'm really excited to read, and they're all new releases. I will link in the description the information for my book club. It's a horror thriller book club called the Lights Out Book Club, and we meet monthly, and starting this month I'm actually going to have groups of people as co-hosts. So there will be 3 people per conversation, so there's even more room for discussion and differing opinions and all of that. So I'm really excited. And the first book we're reading for it is The Chateau, and this is a relatively new release. This one is by Jacqueline Goldis, and it sounds right up my alley, so this is definitely one I'm looking forward to. The Drowning Woman by Robyn Harding is one I'm looking forward to. Night's Edge by Liz Caron is another one, and then The Couples Trip I'm really interested in as well. So let me read the quick little blurbs of what these ones are about. So for The Chateau, it says, a dream girl's trip to a luxurious French chateau devolves into a deadly nightmare of secrets and murder. So this seems like it's going to have a lot of drama. I am very, very excited to read it, and it's actually going to be the next book I read because the live show is on Wednesday with Liv from Liv's Library and Gabby from Gabby Reads as my co-hosts. So I'm really excited to discuss this one, and I've heard really good feedback about it so far. And then The Drowning Woman says, it is a deliciously twisted story of friendship, retribution, and betrayal about a homeless woman fleeing a dangerous past and the wealthy society wife she saves from drowning, who pulls her into a dark web of secrets and lies. Night's Edge says it is a sun-drenched novel about the darkest secrets we hide and how monstrous we can be to the ones we love the most. So I heard that this one involves a mother-daughter relationship and also is about vampires. And then The Couples Trip is about 2 couples who have set out together on a hiking trip that goes terrifyingly wrong. So that sounds like right up my alley. So I'm very excited for all of those. So my most anticipated release for the second half of the year is going to be Midnight is the Darkest Hour by Ashley Winstead. This one comes out in October, and I am kind of nervous for it. I'm very excited, but a little nervous because I really, really loved In My Dreams I Hold a Knife. It's one of my favorite thrillers of all time. It has a dark academic setting, and I thought it was really fast-paced. I loved it so much. And then her other one, The Last Housewife, a lot of people like even more than In My Dreams I Hold a Knife, but for me, it was just too heavy for me and a little bit repetitive and slower paced. I really appreciated it as a novel, and I think the writing was incredible, and I really liked what she said about it and why she made it, but it was just a little triggering for me personally, the content in it. I hope I like this next book as much as I liked In My Dreams I Hold a Knife, and I read that it's sort of a Southern Gothic setting, which sounds really, really fun. All right, this next one makes me so sad. It's my biggest disappointment of the year, and it is No One Gets Out Alive by Adam Neville. This one is really disappointing to me because I heard from a lot of people it's one of the scariest books of all time, it's genuinely terrifying, and I understand where they're coming from with that sentiment because I think it has a really, really good setup. It is about this woman who is poor and she really, really needs a place to live, and she decides to move into this apartment where she gets a really good deal, and she has nowhere else to turn, and then she's stuck in the apartment, and she's not only faced with paranormal evil but also human evil. I totally get why this book is really disturbing and scary for people, but to me it was so freaking long. This book, let me see, it's more than 600 pages, and it has an ending and then a whole nother, I think like 100 pages added on that I thought were so unnecessary, and I just didn't really like the author's writing style. This one just didn't work for me, and I was so disappointed though because I had been putting it off for so long because I had such high expectations about it and thought it may be a new favorite for me. So unfortunately, this was definitely my biggest disappointment of the year so far. My biggest surprise was Little Secrets by Jennifer Hillier. I really, really love that book so much. Like I said, it's domestic and I didn't think it would be my favorite, but I was very surprised. I loved it. A favorite new author, so a new to me author. This would definitely be Jennifer Hillier. I read Wonderland a couple years ago and I was really disappointed by it because I thought it had so much potential and it just didn't live up to it in my opinion. But oh my gosh, I have been reading her whole entire backlist and I'm obsessed. I've enjoyed every single one of her books except one that I didn't love. I didn't hate it, but I didn't love it. I think I'm gonna do a ranking video soon because I read all of them but Jar of Hearts, which I've been saving for last because I know it's a lot of people's favorite book by her. But I really have been loving her books so much and I'm dying for her to release another book. I need to get my hands on it as soon as it's published, whenever that is. Question 8 is newest fictional crush, and I don't really have a fictional crush to be honest, so I can't really think of an answer for this question. Newest favorite character is the next question, and it would definitely be a duo, and it is Nick and Charlie from Heartstopper. They are so freaking adorable. I love them so much. They immediately came to mind for my favorite characters, and I love them so much. For a book that made me cry, I believe it is Heartstopper Volume 2. I kind of started tearing up. I think it was the second volume. It's where you learn about Charlie dealing with some really hard mental health things, and it made me really sad and feel for the characters so much. So the next question is favorite book to film adaptation I've seen this year, and honestly, I don't think I've seen a single one. I was gonna kind of try No One Gets Out Alive because I was curious, but I heard that the movie was terrible, so I don't know if I'm going to watch that one. I might just throw it on and then see if I end up liking the movie better than the book, since I did not like the book. But we'll see. I haven't really seen anything this year though. For a favorite video I've made this year, it's definitely my recommending horror books based on horror movies. I did my second part of this series this year and I really loved making that video. I love horror movies so much and I love finding books that are similar to horror movies. So I will link that in the description below. I would recommend checking that out, and then my part 1 to that series as well. And I am in the process of making a part 3. So question 14 is the most beautiful book I've bought this year, and I could not narrow it down. I have a pile of them, so let me show you. I really do have a pile here. Okay, so Anatomy of a Love Story. I think this is gorgeous. This is the red edition, which I think is even prettier than the original. Then She is a Haunting. I love this so much. It has the woman on the cover with foliage or flowers, which I just love so much. And this one I need to read really soon. It looks good. And also when you open it up, look how pretty this inside is as well. And then You've Lost a Lot of Blood. Love this cover so much. It's an art piece. Then The Lake House, love this as well. If you look really close, you can see like a killer inside her head, which I think is cool. And then the last one is Murder Your Employer, and this is just gorgeous. I love it so much, and I really need to read this one. I'm thinking I want to read this one more in the fall though. It's giving me more like fall cozy vibes, so yes. And then the last question is, what are some books I need to read before the end of the year? And again, I have quite a few. So one of them is Ninth House. I actually started this one and it looks like I'm about 100 pages in, and I need to finish this, but it just didn't feel like the right time of year for me to be reading this. I want to read this in the fall. So I need to finish this one. It's out of my comfort zone. It is fantasy, but it's dark academia. So it's a little more in my comfort zone because I do love that setting and I'm enjoying it so far. I do want to keep reading it and hopefully the pace will pick up a little bit for me, but want to finish it before the end of the year. Then of course, like I said before, need to finish Jar of Hearts. That will probably be in a couple books from now because I have 2 book clubs I need to read for. So the Lights Out book club and then the book troop, we're reading The Soulmate by Sally Hapworth. And I'm really excited for that. It's gonna be so much fun. It's Gabby's book club from Gabby Reads, and then I will be the co-host as well as Erin from Erin Megan. But after that, I'll probably pick it up. Also, a few other books that are sort of out of my comfort zone that I want to try, one of which is Legends and Lattes. I've been hearing nothing but good things about this book, and I am a barista, so I feel like I'd specifically like this one, so I want to try that one. I also want to try Gallant by V.E. Schwab. I am very interested in that one. Has kind of a dark academic feel as well. That one I think is YA. And then I also forgot that The Chateau is one of my favorite covers too, so I need to add this in because I want to live in this. Like, Come on, I really want to live here. So that is all for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. It's been a blast to make, and I will talk to you all very soon. Bye.